This is the Rich Lieberman Media Pulse for Saturday, August 30th at the Bay Area Center for what goes on in the media, which in this case, not a lot, unfortunately. And I'll get to that in a second. So, look, folks, this is a special report. I'm Rich Lieberman, and all of us not all of us, I've been concentrating on the human element of the Laura Owens and Ron Owens, her dad, and Jan Black, her mother. Just the whole irrational, the whole crazy, unbelievable story that has become a legal tour de force. I mean that, and I don't mean that in a positive way. I have stated publicly, okay, that I have not nor wanted to take a deep dive into the legal weeds involving Laura Owens. I've concentrated on the media efforts. And quite frankly, it is an absolute dereliction of duty. The local media in the San Francisco Bay Area market is now late to the game. Oh, they'll say that they're going to come aboard and cover this. And I've argued this, and now I'm sort of repeating myself, but there's a main new caveat, and it stinks to high heaven. It's obvious now that whether it was manipulated, whether it was done so directly, the money from the GoFundMe account, which was set up at the beginning of the year for Ron and Jan, has been used to pay legal expenses, including lawyers, which in and of itself is not a bad deal. It's the manner in which it was done. It's the fact that there's been some serious, and I do mean serious, flaws in clarity, in transparency to people out there who may have contributed to this GoFundMe, ostensibly to pay for what Ron and Jan refer to as, I'm paraphrasing, but it's the same gist, challenges in life, obstacles in life. What are those obstacles? What are those challenges? And you have to be a complete, utter idiot not to kind of look at everything and discover that those financials included paying lawyers. Excuse me, even lawyers who profess to work pro bono, which is a legal way of saying free. That doesn't last forever. That sooner or later things develop. And yeah, legal obstacles and challenges exist. Now, look, I'm not here to castigate Ron or Jan. I have spoken to them on the record, off the record, in this case, off the record. We haven't had an on the record, other than what I've been told that I could say. Not spoken to them for almost 6 weeks, almost 2 months. And they told me, they absolutely, vehemently told me that none of that money is going towards anything other than their challenges, which they refuse to say specifically what that is or was. And I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I said it right here. I said it in my various shows. Why wouldn't I believe them? There's no reason for me not to believe them. And subsequently, we've had a whole lot of developments take place. The bankruptcy filing a couple of weeks ago, August 14th, to be exact. We had the various positioning, once again, of the GoFundMe account, which my understanding is now being placed in various Facebook location by friends of Ronn and Laura and Jan, mostly Ronn and Jan. Now, look, let me say something. It is perfectly logical for parents to care about their sons and daughters. I get it. I have said so. But the nefarious manner in which these financials, this money has been funneled to go to something other than what was represented. Okay. I don't have 100% proof, but I've seen documents. People, many of you out there, the friends of Clayton in the justice have sent me documents, and I've read them. I haven't gone again deep into the details, but now you got to be a damn fool not to think that something smells to high heaven. And indeed, some of that money has not gone to be used in manners which were not represented, which were not stated when these articles were written on Ronn's behalf at the beginning of the year and subsequently put out to pasture now, which stated in so many words that Ronn and Jan were facing very difficult economic challenges and all that. And they didn't go into specifics, nor, I may add, when the San Francisco Press decided to cover this in a roundabout way, and even in this, they failed. They never asked, they never challenged them on exactly where was the money going. No, they stated with Ronn's and Jan's very, very nebulous and benign and vague reasons. I'm using my, forgive me for stopping and having a few pregnant pauses, no pun intended. But I'm trying to use my words very, very delicately here because I'm in a burden. And those of you who know this, understand this. Because I have been accused on both sides of the aisle, so to speak. In this case, the legal aisle, the Ronn and Jan. Now I'm getting accused of turning on a friend. Well, look, we're not friends. We were friends. And I don't think Ronn and Jan are particularly in love with me, so to speak, metaphorically speaking, because I've gone out of my way to try to get to the bottom of this. And I've castigated the entire, shame on you, once again, Bay Area press for not asking the questions that I've been asking and continue to ask, and now state emphatically that something smells to high heaven, and now I've seen it. Yeah, not Houston, we have a problem. San Francisco, we have a problem with a little sub-aisle called Scottsdale, Arizona. Look, I'm not indignant. I'm not angry. If I did show and express anger, it would be towards the absolutely horrendous, ridiculous, pathetic, fill in your own words of the Bay Area press. And they don't like me. Geez, I wonder why. Because now it's obvious. It appears. No, it's rather obvious. Excuse me, folks. Might be somebody from up above trying to stop me. It appears rather obvious that a majority of the Bay Area press, let me get some water. This is live on YouTube. All right. Let me catch myself here. It appears obvious now that they didn't want to go after one of their own. I went down the wrong pipe. Sorry about that, guys. You don't do that. You put aside your own, at least you're supposed to. You put aside your bias and you try to to do a job what you're supposed to be doing. And you ask questions. Press, stupid, ineffective, inept, incompetent Bay Area press. And again, I want to make this very, very clear here to you guys. One of the reasons why I do this is because I myself, I like clarity and transparency. And what I know, having worked in the Bay Area press many years ago, how I worked, I know how they operate. And fact of the matter is, now they're late to the game. Now all of a sudden they're going to show interest in covering this in their own way and try to walk a tightrope and tap dance around the obvious, the fucking obvious that something is going on and that funds that they said would be used to meet life's challenges, good vague terms, have been misrepresented. Now, Ron, Jan, I know you watch this or will eventually because that's why you're not returning my text to you saying, do you want to comment? Do you want to come clean? And I say come clean. I don't mean that they're hiding anything, but when you mysteriously stay silent and when you offer very, very vague, benign reasons as to why all of a sudden you're not saying anything and not commenting specifically about Lori. Now, look, there's a legal situation with documents and an impending court trial in January. You can't talk about that specific case. Absolutely understood. I'm not a lawyer, but I know a lot of lawyers and I know legal protocol within the rights, within the boundaries. That's a different issue. It's a big issue, and it adds to all the people out there who have serious questions. If I was one of those folks that gave hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars to that GoFundMe with the idea in mind that I was helping Ron and Jan deal with life's obstacles and all that, well, if it was represented to me in that manner, but in essence, what I was doing was covering some of their legal mess vis-a-vis the daughter and their kind of mysterious and somewhat questionable spending techniques at the beginning of the year, coincidentally, right before the GoFundMe was advertised. Basically, it was an ad in the Chronicle, the San Francisco Bullshit Chronicle, which used to be a real newspaper many moons ago, and the San Jose Mercury, which also didn't do any follow-up. Oh, they did. But did they ask him specifically, and Jan and all the other parties? Look, I want to be clear about this. This is news. This is news because it involves a former beyond celebrity. If I'm repeating some of this, bear with me. I forgive me, because in this world we have a short attention span theater, right? And people want to take things out of context. Some people come late to the game and they don't know what such and such is saying. They don't know, my comments in the past. And you talk about a precarious situation. I mentioned to all of you, it's on the record, in broadcast past, Ron was and is, well, now was, a very, very powerful, very, very regaled, lauded, respected, admired media talk show host at KGO Radio in San Francisco, when San Francisco had one of the most respected, the most cherished radio stations, not just in the Bay Area, but beyond. It was so big. It was so huge. It was so beloved, was KGO. And Ron interviewed a whole bunch of people. Gavin Newsom, soon to be President Barack Obama at the time, kings and queens, King Charles, celebrities like Norm Macdonald, although that didn't end very well, Gilbert Gottfried, and Burt Reynolds, which also didn't end very well. I mean, you can go all across the gamut. Celebrities, politicians, future presidents, social people, from Nancy Pelosi. I mentioned Gavin, and go on and on and on. But it wasn't just that. Ron spent over 4 decades doing the work that people regaled him about. As I said, he was so terrific. He became a part of the Bay Area family, and KGO was a very special institution, more than a mere radio station. And people in the Bay Area know what I'm talking about. Some people don't know what I'm talking about. It was that special. And whether he likes it or not, and the same thing with Jan Black, who was a media personality herself, albeit on maybe a lesser amount of prestige, but she was very much respected. Herself an anchor at the local KCBS news station. They met years and years ago. I was there. And Ron had the ultimate life. Good for him. Nobody is getting on his case about that. I had a very public, folks, a very, very public. Some of you, if I'm repeating myself again, just bear with me. I want to make sure this is all out there. I had a very nasty public, shall we say, divorce with Ron. Because when KGO was transformed in a real negative way, I didn't like the way Ron handled it. I thought he semi-sold out, and that he kissed the ass, metaphorically speaking, of this conglomerate, which ultimately destroyed not just KGO, but other stations in the market. They took a very valuable, very special mechanism that we all loved and admired and put it out to pasture. They're good at that. Cumulus, look it up. But that's nothing to do with this. Ron's daughters, let me before I say this. Ron's work put him in the National Radio Hall of Fame, and a Marconi winner, very, very prestigious award. And none of this, the travails with his daughter, should blemish what I just described, but unfortunately it will. And I've said this too a lot. I want to keep repeating it if I have to. I can't imagine what he's going through. I don't think he asked for this at the end of his life as he battles through, yes, Parkinson's disease diagnosis years ago. Dealing with somebody that you love that is still your daughter. And that's where I get sort of, folks, I'm in, and did I know Ron that well? Well, we weren't together every day. I was a friend of his, and he didn't like the way I castigated about the manner in which he handled the KGO demise via Cumulus. And I apologized to Ron about 2 years ago. I said I didn't agree with all the things that I did. I probably overdid it because I mocked him, I belittled him, all this, that, and the other. But I would not apologize for calling him out. I thought it was really piss poor, to be blunt. And I apologized to him. He sent out a public apology. He accepted. And just soon after that, in 2023, late, the Laura Owens legal drama begins. And I frankly stayed out of it. I'm not exactly, I'm not a newspaper. I'm not, you know, I'm an advocate and a commentor and an analyst. Boy, talk saying that fast. An analyst in the Bay Area on some of the negative entities and features that the alleged press do here and all that. Laura Owens kind of appeared on my lap the whole case. So I'm not here to defend Ronn, obviously. I'm not here to say piss poor things about Clayton. But now, having witnessed from the sideline what a lot of you have tried to convey to me, and it's very still tough because I don't want people to hog on and pile on and that kind of a thing. But I think I've been ultimately very fair. And people have piled on me and accused me of things that I had absolutely not been a part of, like being paid off, like kissing the proverbial ass and being protective publicly of Ronn and Jan, which is the farthest thing from the truth. On the other hand, looking at the documents, frankly, skimming them, but ultimately seeing what all of you have told me, it is absolutely, it's questionable. It leaves the impression of things happening, of financial behavior that takes place. The lavish spending, the way just unquestionable extravagance in spending. Just a few months before the GoFundMe. Maybe that they knew they were going to have some money coming in, and therefore put that aside. The indictments that come out with regards to Laura, and then other situations, the credit card companies coming out and the mounds of debt, the credit card companies suing for all the credit card maneuvers. And of course, yes, last August 14th, the filing of chapter 13. All the while, nobody in this market, in this Bay Area, the fifth largest market, I think fifth for radio and eighth, I do believe, it's the top 10 market for television. Not a word. And don't get me started on these stupid ass articles that came out about a week and a half ago. They're playing catch up. They're trying to proverbial CYA cover their ass. And they know that I've been on their ass legitimately and justifiably because they don't know how to fucking cover basic common ass news. And look, I don't want any pats on the back. I'll probably have to deal with that later. I have no fucking money. And if they come after me with lawyers, which they're bound to do, or somebody, I'm shit out of luck myself. I don't have dependents that I know of. I have a house, so I worry about few things myself. But I do know this. The shit that has taken place, even in its mysterious circumstances, should be investigated and covered. And yet it isn't. And these alleged fucking publications with these stupid ass nothing articles basically repeating the same shit, all the while attempting to be clarity in themselves. No, they watch me. They know that I've called their asses out. And they don't dare even refer to me. They steal from me when they say there's been online speculation that perhaps the GoFundMe money has been used to funnel money to lawyers and certain things. Well, their online fucking speculation is me. I'm the one. And I'm not asking for a silver platter or fucking crown on my head. You know what it's called? It's called common fucking journalism. Expletives intended. And it irritates me. The more and more I read and hear of what is coming out, I have to respond. That's just the newspaper end of it. Our television news stations here, not one time have they talked about this, brought it up as like a little agate type of a story. Not a one. Not KGO Television, the ABC station here in the Bay Area. Not KPIX, CBS 5, the CBS owned and operated station. You can go down the list. Ronn, the independent station. Channel 9, the PBS station. KQED, not a word. NBC Bay Area News, not a word. KTVU, a fraud of a station. The Fox-owned O&O in Oakland, San Francisco, Channel 2, not a word. Why? Use your own imagination, folks, because they don't want to fuck with one of their own. Even though he himself has nothing to do with it, apparently, we hope. But you know what? When you don't cover something when you should, and you put aside your biases and you do the right thing, which is to investigate the stuff. This is not Joe Smith and his daughter Maggie Smith. This is a former Hall of Famer in the broadcasting business who was one of the biggest, if not the biggest, individuals in Bay Area media lore, whose daughter is in quite a bit of trouble and accused of being accusatory and all that, with now a GoFundMe campaign set up with lots of money, over 132,000 at this moment, maybe more, has been raised. And yet they don't say a word about it. This element of the story may be a story in and of itself, but it goes to show you why a lot of people are fed up and have absolute contempt for the Bay Area press, not just the national press. Hell, I said the other day, it's not fake news. Fake news would be something rather wonderful. At least it would be news, even if it wasn't true. This is not fake news. It's no news. It's covering up. It's being silent. Now, I'm not here. I don't gain anything by being this sort of sayer, like, what the hell is going on? I don't gain anything. My finances are right here. You see this hole? It's a donut hole. There's nothing there. But it's the right thing to do. It's the absolute miscarriage of what you're supposed to do, and that is to cover things, even if they're unpleasant, even if it involves one of your own. And I haven't even talked about Laura, which is a very sad case. I'm not a parent, but if I were, and something like this were to take place involving my daughter or my son, what have you, I don't know what the hell I would do. Let me just state that very, very openly. I want to tell you this too, folks. I've reached out to Ronn several times, and Jan, I've called them. I've called them on their phones, and I said, look, this doesn't look good. Why don't you talk to me? It's very selfish, perhaps, but I want to get their side. I would love to talk to them. If they don't want to talk, that's fine. Then say you just don't want to comment. Instead, we have silence. And as I stated, these, what was it, about a week and a half ago when they had that bullshit article in the Chronicle, again, followed up by the bullshit article in the Mercury News, which now they're playing catch up and trying to cover themselves, cover their ass, because I'm the one who said, where's the money going? I am not a lawyer, as I've said also. But when you funnel money that people think are going to a certain thing and it's not, then that's wrong. I don't know if it's legally wrong, don't know, but say something, Ron, Jan, or are you involved in this damn thing? Was the daughter involved? I'm asking questions now. I'm thinking out loud. Did Laura Owens knowingly manipulate her father's finances? Did she take part, with or without, but maybe with Jan, in these legal, strike that, with these very, very mysterious financial situations taking place? That's a lot of big words. You know what I mean. Were they involved in the manipulation of the money? Ron is very fragile right now. I don't know his mental state. When I spoke to him about 2 months ago, he sounded lucid. He sounded okay. But you saw that picture, most of you, where he's in that wheelchair and he's hunched over and he looked frail and very, very, frankly, lousy. Meanwhile, on the other side of him, his daughter, who looked as if she just got out of a disco, looked very weird, frankly, and smiling like she just got out of the senior prom. It was odd. And I know, look, photographs don't tell a whole story and all that, but it was odd. It was really, really odd. And look, I'm just asking questions now, because in my world, there are layers and layers to this story. The fact that the Bay Area press ignores this, and believe me, I don't need them to cover a story so I can, it's not going to do anything for me. Frankly, I'd be embarrassed if I was the Bay Area San Francisco press. They look worse and worse. And as Keith Olbermann used to say, remember Keith Olbermann, the worst person in the world, that guy? They look worser and worser. I just made up a word every day. Now they don't know what the fuck to do. Again, it doesn't even involve, in this situation, Laura. But did Jan, did they manipulate Ronn's finances? Just a question. Just a question. We know they're taking in $20,000 a month from the pension, 22 grand, whatever it is. It's up there. We know about the various situations about, the bankruptcy and all this, that, and the other. The fact that his SAG-AFTRA gives him a Cadillac healthcare plan. And yes, certain things are not covered and all that. I get all that. Then tell us. You don't have to talk about Laura. Tell us where the money is going, Jan and Ron. Some of it is out there already. And the worst thing about all this, and you guys will agree with me on YouTube, and this mysterious silence, it adds to gossip and speculation, some of which might be unwarranted, most of which probably is very warranted and legit. But it adds to all this shit that could be cleared up in a Scottsdale second if you come out and come clean. And I mean clean in a very objective manner. Maybe it's all explainable. I'd like to hear that. The Bay Area press hasn't pressed Ron or Jan because they have no fucking balls. Quote me. And there are Dave Neal's out there, and I'm not kissing Dave Neal's ass. He does very well. Doesn't need Rich Lieberman to certify that. And Lauren Knighty, and the ninja, whatever her name is, and people like Kimberly and people like everybody else. I used to think, still do in many regards, why are they so into this? What do they do? How are they paying for their own lives? Do they go to work? They do. Are they simply outraged because of what has taken place and what the justice for Clayton and all that? I mean, what? I don't get that. It's slowly starting to come into my mind about what is taking place. But I have questions about the GoFundMe money. And yet Ronn is silent. And Jan is silent. And maybe as I ask those questions, maybe they don't want to say anything. Maybe there is something that they're hiding. All the while protecting their daughter. For which I can only say, if I were a parent, that I would understand. And I think those of you out there who will agree with me. But let me say something to the friends of Ronn and Jan too, because this will be widely put out there. Even on a Saturday evening, late in the day, on a Labor Day weekend, no less. I didn't advertise this broadcast. I came right on and I see a full room of YouTubers. And they want the truth too. Not their truth or my truth, the truth. There's only one truth. And I've come to my own feelings about this, and I've said, where is the money? Follow the money, follow the money. Well, right now we don't know where the money is. Have they used that money to do something beyond just paying lawyers? And what? They've had multiple lawyers, 5, 6, 7, 8 lawyers, and legal expenses. And again, very questionable spending extravaganzas only months before GoFundMe was set up, followed by only months later, 4, 5, 6 to be accurate, a bankruptcy filing. What's causing all this? Come on, of course they're paying somebody who think lawyers and all that. How is Laura surviving? Well, she's living there at their house and all that. How is she paying for the bacon? The proverbial, let's, pay for the bacon. You have to have money. How cognitive, I'm just asking questions out loud. How cognitive is Ronn Owens doing these days? And Jan, last I spoke to them, they sounded fine. And they were basically telling me what I've told you, that everything is on the up and up. Well, now I don't believe that. Or I think what they said was basically spinning a tale to cover their own ass. So we have all this taking place. We have the Ronn and Jan, where's the money going? We have the GoFundMe account, which I don't know, it's like about $133,000. Maybe that's all dried up. We have now sources telling me that there are friends of Ronn getting that GoFundMe placed in different areas other than Facebook. We have people, some of whom are not rather financially robust, setting up reoccurring payments. So they didn't just, one guy sent in $5,000. Another guy sent in multiple thousands of dollars. Do they know? Did they know that the money maybe wasn't going to which they thought they were giving it to Ronn and Jan? Wonder what they're thinking now. And we have this element. You corrupt, you idiotic, moronic, incompetent, dereliction of duty, idiotic, dereliction of duty, times 2 and 3, malcontent, SF, Oakland, San Jose Press. The people who depend upon you for enlightenment and clarity and to get to the bottom of certain things, you have failed. Want to know why many newspapers are failing? Maybe they don't have any faith in you anymore, not just nationally, but locally. Maybe it's the other way around. But it's behavior, journalistic behavior, that should be, again, embarrassing. Yet it permeates, it continues. And there's many, many reasons as to why that's the case. Again, folks, use your own imagination. Put two and two together, as I have. It's a dereliction of duty personified. And at least from this end, they're not going to get away with it. And if they truly, truly just absolutely just don't want to cover it, that's even more nefarious. So you have that. The fact that I have to call them out speaks wonders. That's why they hate me. That's why they detest me. That's why they think I'm some asshole now, which sometimes I could be. Enlightenment of clarity. I don't like doing this. It doesn't make me feel robust to do this. I'd much rather talk about certain things, not mainly having to do with Taylor Swift. That story annoys me because she's a billionaire times 5, and I don't need to know every fucking 5 minutes that her diamond ring was $55 million and that she's going to get married to the football player and all that. And I'm a big football fan. And I like Taylor. I think she's a great, great lady. And she's mankind's and womankind's best friend. I think she ought to go to Gaza and the Middle East and do a concert and call for a ceasefire. You know, I'm sure they'll do it, right? I say that half kiddingly. But you know, I wish I could be more positive. I hate that word too. But this thing is lingering, and I hope to cover my own ass here, so to speak, that I don't need your respect. I don't need your acceptance. And there are going to be a lot of people, not maybe you guys, well, maybe some of you, that'll give me shit in the Bay Area. And I'll get the anti-Semitic emails, and I'll get people telling me I should go fuck myself. And there's going to be various people. Somebody just came on here. Yeah, if you want to contribute, and look, folks, I'm not looking to be a millionaire or a thousandaire or whatever, but I'm probably going to be on the receiving end of lawyers that really probably don't like me, and they're going to threaten me and send me shit. But I came out because I owe it to all of you, not just myself. It's the right thing to do. It's when you have questions, and they're legitimate questions, and people that want to see that you're not part of the inner sanctum of Ron and Jan. And if Ron and Jan want to send me a text or call me and have it off the record and just kind of level with me and tell me why they're silent, tell me where is that money going? Or at least at the very least say, look, we're in a situation. I'll just give you an example off the top of my head. Rich, we're facing some obstacles now. And some of them you outlined or some you did not. But we need money. We need certain things. We can't go into specifics, some of which has to do with the law and our daughter and all that. Something like that. Very innocent. I don't need them to respond to me as a means of my ego. I don't mean it like that. I got plenty of people that I talk to, you know. Some of whom are very, very important. A lot of it off the record. I can't disclose it. But Gavin Newsom knows who I am. Hell, I sat in a room facing the KGO studio many years ago with his dad, Gavin Newsom's dad, Bill Newsom, who was a head judge on the California State Appeal, the state court of appeal. So I don't need adulation. And for my ego, the Bay Area press won't ask him. And he may not even answer to them. He may offer a no comment. He may not say anything, which is largely what he and Jan have said now. Nothing. But at least say something. So that's my MO here, if I had an MO, which I don't. I decided to say this and come out with this because I feel it's the right thing to do. Maybe not the most convenient thing to do. Maybe I'm going to be, like I said, more than likely, lawyers saying, hi, happy Monday or Tuesday. We want you to, and going after me, which is all I need, like a hole in the head. So, yeah, if you're going to donate to me on that behalf, fine. I appreciate that. You folks are my advertisers. I've said this a million times. Without you, I'm nothing, which some people would say that's the case anyway. Certain past girlfriends, of which there are few. But folks, this is what I do. And sometimes, you pay the price one way or the other. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this myself. And it's not just this issue, although this issue is pretty big. So that's what I do. I do a broadcast based on the local San Francisco Bay Area, Oakland media, and I talk about things like CNN and coverage and MSNBC and Sky News, and I have occasional guests who come on here and talk about certain things, and we discuss the way the media, whether it's news, sports, entertainment, that's what I do. And most of it, unfortunately, sometimes it's negative. It's very, very negative. It's the proverbial people driving on the freeway and stopping to rubberneck to look at the accident on the other end of the freeway and to see if there's dead bodies. It's very unpleasant. But that's what I do. And when there's good things to say, which are few, I'll say good things. I hope to God that this Ronn, Laura, and the Laura on that end, because these recent disclosures and documents doesn't tell a pretty picture. Get that. But I just want some clarity. Say it like till I'm blue in the face, ad nauseum. That's why I'm here. And I appreciate your support. Those of you don't need it now in that regard. Just, I think I've said my piece. But later on, as I promised, if there's support and if there's a want, I'll be back, and I'll be back. Schwarzenegger. Thank you. I'm going to be back around 7 o'clock Pacific time, at 10 o'clock East Coast time, obviously, 9 o'clock Central. And we're going to do something. We're going to try to be interactive here and talk about this. I don't really want to get into this in detail. We can talk about what you did, about the news. I'm going to give out my number, and you can call me if you want. You want to text me and talk to me and maybe about something else. That's for that broadcast, but I'm going to give you my communications. And I need all of you to become a subscriber on my YouTube channel. That's first and foremost. Subscribe. Because I frankly, I know it's a pain in the ass sometimes to click, subscribe, but I need that. Donations, I'll leave that up to you. If you want to email me, if you have a tips, and you don't want to be public, but you want to be anonymous, I grant you all that. Remember, I deal with a lot of folks who are sources. They don't want to be identified and all that. Get it? And I will honor that request because, after all, sources are also my livelihood, right? I get to a lot of things that, frankly, I couldn't get to if I didn't have sources. I have plenty of sources, but I can use all the sources that I can. So if you want to email me or text me, let me give you my phone number. To text, it's area code 415-999, 4454. Once again, area code is 415-999-4454. 999-4454. And also email is rich.lieberman, Lieberman, @gmail.com. And you can email me, you can text me or call me. If you're a woman out there who would like to say hi and believe in transparency, and you just got dumped by your fifth husband or something like that, say hi to me, because I'm desperate. No, I'll leave that up to you. I can't believe I just did that. And anyway, I also do impressions. I do bar mitzvahs, weddings, funerals. So tell your doctor, that was a little bit of a joke too. Yo, your doctor, your lawyer, your wife, your mistress, your compatible heat, your plumber. Tell them about Rich. And folks, I don't have the most illustrious backdrops. I got the Howard Stern photo or picture, sorry. I've got the big TV set and the nameplate. I don't have graphics. And boy, am I graphic at times. But I don't have the graphics. I wish I could have more elaborate lighting and Hollywood and all that. This is what I've got. I've got you. I've got you, babe. And I've got me. And because I believe in the fact that I give you content, I give you funniness. And when I can be serious, I'll give you seriousness. And most of all, I give you something that you can chew on and think about. You don't always have to agree with me. God forbid. I love and I welcome your disagreements. That's what makes us so great, right? I don't want people, oh, God, he's so great. We agree with him. We agree. I don't need all that. And this, maybe the Laura thing, maybe I want more people to agree with me. I'm talking overall and all that. I don't look sexy, although some women find me quite illuminating, which is one of the reasons why in 1999 I was People Magazine's sexiest man alive. Why did I suddenly? I sound like Lou Ferrigno again. I'm sorry, Lou. He gets it. All right. I'm not the only one who's made fun. All right. Enough of that. Sorry, I pissed off a few people probably. So look, and I wasn't People Magazine sexiest man alive. It was close. I was like 50th down the list. So I'm not the most. I should shave a little more, and the hair, and these goofy glasses, and all that. But look. So what I'm trying to say in so many words is I'm funny most of the time. I'll give you more content and entertainment. And I know there's a whole bunch of YouTubers out there, and they, take a number two and they crap, or they try to act like they're one of the Korean boy bands and all, and they got 5 million hits and this shit and that shit. I'm just Rich Lieberman, a very profound Jewish guy looking for his future ex-wife and that kind of thing, who dares to ask for the truth and be occasionally, every now and then, self-righteous, all the while being humorous, touching his glasses, his hair, and making sure, speaking of being Jewish, half off. Okay, enough of that. So yes, please tune in at 7 o'clock Pacific or 9 o'clock Central. Tonight, Saturday night. It's Saturday Night Live. Thank you. We'll be here. And I will give somewhat of a comedy show, variety show, do my impressions like my great, great Peter Falk. Just a little bit of a preview. Now, don't get crazy now. I'm going to be back. And I got tons of more impressions. See? Who could do this shit on YouTube? I don't juggle. I don't have stupid little mannequins. I don't have bobbleheads in the back and pretty pictures, bookcases with, Anderson, I think what happened in Minnesota was rather tragic, and here's why. I'm not a former law clerk or what have you. I'm just an ordinary guy with very special talents and improprieties and flaws for which I profess. But as Peter Falk Columbo would have said to me, excuse me, am I bothering you? Because if I'm bothering you, I will leave you alone. Am I bothering you? Okay. One of many impressions that I do. All right. Now the crowd is suddenly giving me howls. Okay. I hope good howls. All right. So I'm going to be back. I'm going to get some water so I don't choke. And we're in the Bay Area where it's a hot day. We have one of those, but we're going to have fog. We have fog coming on Monday, Labor Day. And those of you that want to come and watch me again, and we'll talk about everything. I want to make this interactive, and I want to make this very, I know a lot of you are frankly bored. Maybe you didn't want to go out and get, in line of explosives, people drinking. And, I know a lot of you are just home watching a movie. Maybe you now see me. Some of you are new to the game and say, God damn, what a total wreck that motherfucker is. Okay. I'm actually cool. So we'll go from there. Again, folks, 7 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Central, and of course, 10 o'clock East Coast. Subscribe to my channel. Tell everybody out there. It gets better. And wait till you see the show. Oh my God. I've got like Carol Burnett wannabes coming on. I've got, Lyle Wagner's. I got Jerry Lewis. Jerry's up in heaven doing this. When I cry, I'll walk alone. Jerry's getting ready, even though he's up in heaven. He's going to get ready for his big deal tomorrow and Labor Day and that kind of a thing. But all the women, the men, those of you out there who like this shit, and because you basically, as I said, folks, this is what happens when your parents sniff airplane glue. They get rich. Speaking of my parents, I'd like to thank them too for not practicing birth control. Okay, so I'll be back, and I'm getting warnings now. Oh, this is some fucked up, a message. Amber alert, something like that. I'll be back. Go grab some water, and I thank those of you who watch and observe, and you have all my contact information, and we will see you later, alligator. I do sing very well, except for a few hums. Lou Rawls tunes. I kick ass. Sinatra too. See you later. Thanks for watching, and thanks to all of you who have supported me. I appreciate that. You are God's gift to the world. We will be back. Can't you just wait?